welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at an 8-year-old Willett Straight Rye in collaboration with Kiamichi. Dustin, what can you tell us about it?
So, Mike, this is a single cask at cask strength. Mind you, I always get nervous when they say cask strength and it's like at 55 even. Maybe just me.
Maybe they're rounded.
Yeah, so these bottles have been floating around a lot lately, and it's a collaboration they did with these guys. I think there's some kind of charity or some kind of agreement between these two guys. So the Kiamichi folks are helping select these barrels, but these are actual Willett barrels. They're Willett, not just distilled, but this is from Willett. And so that's a little different than I think a lot of people out there these days are talking about. There's some sourced Willett. This is a real, legit Willett. This is not a real Willett bottle topper because the cork failed in the store. I was there with a couple of guys. There was these two really awesome guys who were sharing like a 15-year-old bourbon that was exceptional. The Hardin's Creek 15-year. And I was like, well, these guys are being generous with other people. So I bought this and said, you know what, guys, let me crack this open. And, of course, the cork failed. If you guys haven't had it before, there's a 4-year Willett Rye that has become somewhat available. For a while there, it was a hard-to-get bottle. Really good. Exceptional value for money, which is probably the only Willett that I'll ever say that about. Into this $250 bottle.
Here we go.
By the way, MSRP, because these are definitely more than that on the secondary.
Willets are so expensive.
Yeah. What did our buddy Adam say? Bland's for rich people.
That's what he calls it.
Bland's
You're
for
right.
rich people.
That's aggressive.
And let me tell you, I love the nose on this thing. It is very Christmassy.
Yeah.
Very Christmassy.
I was going to say it's Christmas tree mint is what I was about to say, or evergreen mint or something like that.
Yeah, but there's like more to this. Like
There's a chalky oak, and it's really charred.
It's surprising that the oak's coming through at 8 years, but you're right, it is.
Super charred.
But there's like a red berry in here that is coming through with like some nutmeg and cinnamon. I mean, it's just Christmas spice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I'm not exactly getting the red berry, but I'm getting the rest of the Christmas spices.
Maybe even Thanksgiving. I'm getting a little bit of cranberry, I think. Like that cranberry gel kind of crap.
Yeah, I was going to almost say clove, which can be in a kind of an aggressive smell sometimes, like especially when you just crack open like a little container of the jar of them.
I can see some clove in here, yeah. Clove. I mean, I'm probably missing 10 things here.
Yeah, it's a lot of spice.
I mean, if you told me there was garlic in here, I'm not getting it, but I'd probably be like, maybe. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, it's dancing.
It's spicy. I'm also getting like a kind of a roasted. What am I? I mean, it's something's been a little bit roasted.
Like I said, there's a high char note on this. I mean, it's going back and forth between a lot of spice and a lot of char.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the char of like you kind of overcooked a honey baked ham or something. Yeah.
The fruits are really eluding me though on this one.
It's in the very middle. Very middle. I'm just getting a little bit of that red cranberry note.
Yeah, you get the mint and the sweet and the rye at first, but then it goes char so fast. Just scorched earth.
Gently nose it a little further back.
Okay.
And then gently go in like midway through to try to. I'm telling you that the red will come out.
This is Rain of Fire.
Ring of out. It's not quite that charred for me. I'm gonna hop right in.
I mean, I could see some type of generic red berry. Mm-hmm. It's almost 5-hour energy berry.
I can go there again. I'm saying like that cranberry, like stuff that comes in a can. I'm not talking about anything refined here.
Yeah, but when you said red earlier, there's something about that rings true.
And I was just getting ready to tell you there's nothing on the palate, and then I was told I was wrong because on the finish I do get a little bit of that red. It's almost like a red hot gum meets the mint, meets the spices.
Big red. Yeah, that's almost the spice. You're right.
Yeah, and actually maybe big red at the end. Yeah. Up front, actually beautiful, pleasant sweetness. It's hard for me to kind of come up with the right term here. I mean, it's just a very generic, beautiful sweet with lots of spices coming through. I will say, like, compared to like other $200 ryes, maybe this is on the flatter side, meaning that it doesn't have like an explosive sweetness that you get on some of the really ultra premium stuff. But overall, this is what rye whiskey is supposed to be, and this is what $200 whiskey is supposed to be.
Tamer on the palate than I assumed based on the nose. The spice is still there, but it's toned down. But you get that spice, you get mint, and you get char. It's pretty straightforward to me, at least on the palate.
I mean, it's straightforward in the sense that, yeah, it's a rye whiskey, but
a little bit of caramel.
There's a lot of depth to what this rye is doing.
There's a lot of depth to the spice note on it. Mm-hmm. But there is the fourth element here. There's a little bit of caramel here on the finish. Rolo. A little bit of chocolate with that caramel.
You get a little bit of Rolo?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't pick that up, but I'll go back in and look for that one.
On the finish is
I love Rolo. So that's one of my... I haven't bought one in years, but like if somebody's handing out candy, I usually pass. You had a Rolo, man. I've eaten that.
I never pass on candy. I will eat anything. Donuts, candy. People always say, like, you'll eat that? Oh, yeah, People are like, you eat that? I'm like, yeah, I'll eat that.
My problem is I eat way too much pizza. Savory is where I get my issues. Candy, not where I go. I like my sweetness in my whiskey.
I think I can't have temptation around me. I will eat anything.
It's, funny though. A little bit of water here, and I added a little bit more than I usually add because I really wanted to see if it'd do this. And it's brought everything really together. It's kind of...
With water, you're right. I get the red berries now. I didn't get that at all. Now I'm getting caramel, a twinge of honey. They like doubled the amount of things I was getting with water.
See, I added enough water to actually bring it together to the point where it's just a unifying experience of just kind of this sweet, light oak thing that's going on with some nice, just sort of hints of spice. Really, I like what it did.
Yeah. Yeah, it made a whiskey that had three facets to it have 6, which is substantial. I'm not being a smartass. Mm-hmm. Which I know sometimes it's hard to tell. It's the stoic look.
Yeah.
On the inside, I laugh.
I believe it's called deadpan.
That's the point. On the inside, I'm laughing.
Did you ever watch any of the Andy Kaufman stuff?
Buddy, yeah.
So there's a famous Andy Kaufman scene on SNL where he walks out and he just stands there, stoic, for like 10 minutes.
His comedy wasn't for me at the time. I appreciate it more now. I'm an older.
I mean, Andy Kaufman would have been like almost predating you, I believe.
No, I remember. I'll never forget the wrestling thing what was going on. Like, that was crazy. When I saw that movie with Jim Carrey, Man on the Moon, and they showed that scene about the wrestler who called him poor white trash, and he slapped him and everything else like that, because that seemed so real to me. And then it flashed to the next scene, like where they were sitting in a booth together the next morning having breakfast. Like, their agent was like, "You shouldn't work together anymore." Like, what do you mean? Like, we thought that went great, and it was both of them. I was like, no way. Like, this really is show business.
Now, I don't remember now, but wasn't his SNL stuff early career or was it late career? Was he like a rare person who came in later? Because I would guess SNL was pre you.
Yeah.
Being around.
Probably to some degree.
Like, you probably weren't watching SNL. Yeah.
Well, I had older sisters. You know what I mean? I was always in front of the TV. I had a sister 10, 11, and 12 years older than me, so I was always sitting with them watching whatever they were watching. They love Saturday Night Live.
Great intermission there because, I'll tell you what, the nose has really opened up here.
With younger whiskeys, the more time you give them, especially with water, the better off you are.
I'm getting some nice smoked char or oak notes that I wasn't getting earlier. Man. Like, before, we were talking about the oak char, but now it's like a really nice smoke.
I think Andy Kaufman's comedy would have came off better if he was better looking.
I disagree.
Like, I've told someone else, and someone else said the exact same thing.
Because, the thing is, like, if somebody just doesn't, like, move and just stares at you, if they're just gorgeous looking, you're going to be like, all right, nice eyes.
Yeah, see if there's, like, Brad Pitt or something.
Yeah, like, a lot of people would just be like, that's a pretty person.
They missed the joke.
Yeah. It would take way longer to finally realize this is awkward. Whereas if it's kind of an ugly guy standing there not moving, you're like, hey, buddy, you're not something to look at here. Why are you standing?
That's one joke. I'm thinking in general, it'd be simpler to
think. The sexist stuff with the women, too. Again, the more attractive you are, the more you get away with it.
Yeah, that was a bit cringy with him. But, looking back, having the perspective of 30 or 40 years and being older, I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Like,
well, it wasn't.
That was very also. I mean, obviously different era.
Very different era.
I am loving what the nose is doing right now.
Yep. Let's jump right back into it.
Vanilla, smoke, spice. And I do believe they can put a man on the moon.
Ah, they fake that shit. Did you ever watch The Signing? That's why we wore the number 42 jersey, the Apollo jersey. Come on.
Man, I have been called a contrarian thousands of times in my life, but Mike puts me to shame.
I'm like, nah, he's faking it. Trust me. I had 6 siblings. I know someone who's dogging it.
I tell you what, I could tell Mike comes in a room and I'm like, man, you know the greatest car for the money is the Camaro. And Mike driving a Camaro is going to be like, nah, you got to get the... it's the Ford Fiesta. And I'm like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Like, look, dollar for dollar, horsepower for horsepower.
Oh, man. You know, the water's also brought the whiskey together and made it this nicer, sweeter, more bourbon-like whiskey, which I think is really cool because, and I was actually, this is kind of helping my score a lot here because my initial thought was, this is really good rye whiskey, but not for the money the best.
Which was this again? 207?
250.
Yep.
I mean, an 8-year Kentucky rye. This is not MGP, where there's a lot of ryes you see are Kentucky, or MGP.
I know what Kentucky means.
You rarely see MGP. You rarely see anything but MGP unless you get into these expensive bottles.
For sure. All right, so Dustin, I'm ready to give you a whiskey score.
Okay.
I'm at an 80 out of 100 on this. I was thinking about going 87, but actually my enjoyment on this, especially with the water, has come up to the point where, well, it's probably an 87, but I'm going to say my enjoyment of this is an 88. Where are you at?
I thought you said 80 at first, and I was like...
I did say 88 at first.
No, I thought you said 80.
Oh, no.
Even, I was like...
No, 88.
No.
So I'm backing down. I'm going to call it an 87, but my enjoyment of this is an 88. This is a very good, enjoyable whiskey.
So I was going to give it an 87 initially because I think it's missing the elements of really great ryes. And, one of the things we need to do at some point, do a comparison. And also to get a couple of these like high-end ryes here. This is the first one we brought you guys. We'll bring some more and maybe do a comparison later. But for me, when we added water and it gave it a different kind of experience, pushed it to 88. So I'm right there with you, but I was really thinking 87. So
yeah, I remember right there.
Yeah.
Same thing. Anyway, this is a pretty good one. If you guys had a chance to try this one, I mean, again, the Japanese very much into whiskey in their culture. I mean, very similar to us as Americans.
Yep.
And very similar to the Irish and the Scottish.
Yeah.
People, as far as being used in the whiskey.
What are your thoughts on the label before we jump off this?
Every time I see Japanese art, and we'll kind of put this bottle up here, I mean, I always think of samurai culture for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, this obviously doesn't have any type of sword, but this does seem like a swirling individual that is caught up in the whirlwind of experience of life. But he's moving forward.
So, ink block test, Mike. What's the first thing you think of when you see that?
Rooster.
Same thing here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I see a rooster. The only thing I don't like is this cheap sticker they just like kind of haphazardly threw on.
That's a badge of honor, man. That's like a captain's bars.
I mean, if you look at that, guys, I mean, doesn't that look just like cheaply thrown on there? By the way, Mike, there is a 19-year bourbon sitting on the shelf at Party Source right now at $100 a year.
Okay.
Those are that one.
Those are our thoughts on this whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. This will be our last review of the day. Until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.